Welcome to Crushed Husband. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin. I watched Rachel dart around the kitchen that morning, heels clicking, phone on speaker, coffee in hand, rattling off brand terms I couldn't even spell. She didn't sit down once, didn't look up either. "You'll be on time, right?" she said, half turning as she grabbed her purse. I said I would. She gave a quick nod, already halfway out the door. "My name's Jake Ellison. I'm 43. I run a mobile auto detailing business based in Temecula, California. It's not glamorous, but it pays well, and I like working with my hands. I clean up people's messes, that's what I do. Rachel's my wife. We've been married 16 years. She works in corporate branding for some powerhouse firm with a name that sounds like a law office, but markets bottled water like it's liquid gold. People call her a genius in meetings. Her face is on award slides. She's got that presence, sharp, pulled together, intense. Me? I've always been the laid-back guy in the background. I'm not flashy, I don't network, I don't wear $300 loafers. I detail trucks and come home smelling like wax and rubber. But tonight wasn't about my world. Rachel had invited me to her firm's annual summit at some luxury winery about an hour upstate. Real high-end stuff. Restored vineyard lodge, 5-course dinner, exclusive client lists. A power crowd, as she called it. I pictured it all. The winding road up there, her stepping out in some sleek black dress, me in my one decent blazer, trying to pronounce wines I couldn't afford while everyone circled around her. I'd stand off to the side, nodding along, being her silent plus one. That was usually my role, and honestly, I never minded it. Before we go on, quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I spent that day working out of the garage, 2 truck interiors, 1 RV deep clean. By the time I finished, my knees ached and my hands were stained with polish. I still had to shower, shave, pick out the one button down that didn't make me look like I was heading to church. Every now and then, I'd glance at the clock. I wasn't nervous, just keyed up. Like I knew I'd have to be on all night. Rachel lived in that mode, performing, impressing. Me? I was just hoping not to embarrass her. I ironed my shirt twice. Shoes shined, truck cleaned. I looked decent. Not summit level, but clean. I stood in the mirror, practicing a smile that said, "Thanks for having me." Tried it with and without teeth. Settled on a tight-lipped version. When I stepped out into the driveway, Rachel was already in the passenger seat, checking her email. No, "You look nice," no smile, just, "Let's not be late, okay?" I started the engine. We pulled up to the venue just as the sun dipped below the hills. The driveway was long and curved, lined with perfectly trimmed olive trees, and those old brick lampposts that probably cost more than my truck. The main lodge stood like something off a wine label. White stone, dark beams, every window glowing warm yellow. String lights draped across the courtyard. Valets in black vests moved like ghosts. I put the truck in park, stepped out, and circled around to open Rachel's door. She stepped down like she'd done it 1,000 times. Sleek black dress, hair pinned smooth, makeup sharp and clean. She looked incredible, like she ran the place. "You look amazing," I said. She glanced at me. "Thanks, we're already 10 minutes behind." No smile, no nothing. We handed the keys to the valet, and Rachel walked ahead like she belonged there. I followed, fixing my blazer and trying not to adjust my collar again. Inside, the lobby opened up into this wide reception area with tall beams and polished wood floors. Everything smelled like wine, lavender, and rich people. A jazz trio played near the fireplace, the kind of music that made me feel underdressed no matter what I wore. Every person we passed looked curated, tailored suits, cocktail dresses, designer watches. Waiters carried drinks I couldn't pronounce on silver trays. There were branded napkins, signature drinks, even little candles with the company logo on them. Rachel didn't slow down. She spotted a group near the bar and headed straight for them. By the time I caught up, they were already surrounding her, laughing, clapping her on the back, toasting with those tall stemmed glasses. "Rachel killed it on the Frostbite rebrand," one woman said. "You own winter now." "You practically are the campaign," some guy in a navy suit added. Everyone laughed. Someone said, "Your deck got quoted by the client verbatim." I hovered on the edge, half a step behind, smiling, nodding. Nobody looked at me. Nobody asked who I was. Rachel didn't introduce me. She didn't even glance my way. She was too busy soaking it up, laughing with that polished, professional tone I'd heard 100 times on her Zoom calls. I drifted back toward the food table, charcuterie spread, fig jam, cured meats, crackers shaped like leaves. I grabbed a few things and stood off to the side, chewing slow, pretending to enjoy it. People passed by without looking. A couple bumped into me without a word. Quick note: while you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. 10 minutes passed, maybe more. Rachel finally caught my eye from across the room and gave a short wave. I walked over, still holding my little plate. She touched my arm and said to the group, "Oh, this is Jake. He runs his own business." That was it, just that. No name of the business, no mention of what I actually do. Just a line that felt rehearsed and vague. Then she turned right back to them and started talking about some upcoming pitch with a beverage distributor. I stood there for another 30 seconds, waiting to see if anyone would ask me a follow-up. No one did. One guy sipped his drink and actually turned away as I stood there. I stepped back again, slow, like I was heading for another plate, but I didn't go back to the table. I went toward a side hallway, leaned against the wall, and looked around. It was like I didn't exist, like I was some extra in a movie she was starring in. She'd brought me to this thing like a date, but it didn't feel like I was with her at all. I was just the guy who parked the truck, a placeholder in a blazer. And the worst part? No one was rude, no one was loud or mean. They just didn't see me. That's when it hit. This wasn't just her world. This was her. She belonged in it. And I was just tagging along. Rachel laughed again from across the room, head thrown back, hand on someone's arm. I stood there watching her, the words echoing in my head. Jake. He runs his own business. Yeah, like I was a footnote. I was still leaning against that hallway wall, chewing a cracker I couldn't taste, when the crowd shifted like someone famous had walked in. Heads turned, conversations cut short. You could feel it. Tight shoulders, adjusted ties, sudden posture upgrades. Then she appeared, Dana Cross. I'd heard the name plenty. Rachel never gushed, but when she mentioned Dana, her tone changed, controlled, sharp, like she was running lines before a stage performance. This was the woman who decided who got promoted, who got cut, and who got forgotten. Dana walked like she owned oxygen. Slim black pantsuit, blood-red lipstick, nothing out of place. Her eyes scanned the room like she was reading a spreadsheet. Rachel straightened immediately. Her voice dropped an octave, smoothed out. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and stepped forward. "Dana," she said, smiling wide, "I was hoping to see you." Dana gave her the once-over, then her eyes flicked to me, standing just behind. "You brought your husband?" Her voice was dry, flat. How quaint. A few people around us chuckled, not loud, but sharp, knowing. Rachel didn't say a word. She just smiled, like it didn't sting. I tried to smile too, tried to act like it was fine, like I was in on the joke, but I felt my face go warm. Dana didn't even wait for a reply. She turned and started talking to someone about European rollout timelines like we'd just been dismissed from a meeting. I looked at Rachel. She didn't look at me, so I stayed behind again, played the part, sipped the weird fizzy wine they handed me, and stood just close enough to seem included. It felt like high school all over again. Some party I wasn't really invited to, standing near the popular kids, hoping someone noticed I was there. But this time, the popular girl was my wife. After another 10 minutes of empty nods and half smiles, the crowd started drifting toward the dinner tent out back. Big white canopy lit up like a wedding. You could hear the glasses clinking from where we stood. Rachel finally stepped away from her circle and looped her arm through mine like we were back to being a couple. She didn't say anything at first, just kept walking with that perfect posture and forced smile. When we got to the path between the vineyard rows, she gave my hand a quick squeeze. "Just let stuff slide tonight, okay?" I didn't answer. I kept walking, staring at the gravel under our shoes. Let stuff slide, like this was normal. Like her boss making a joke about me wasn't a big deal. Like standing alone in a room full of people she knew, people who didn't even see me, was something I should be used to by now. Truth was, I was used to it. 16 years of being the guy who fixed the sink, who folded laundry at midnight while she rehearsed pitch decks, the one who stayed home with the flu kid while she flew to New York. I'd slid plenty. But right then, walking that gravel path, I started counting. Not the times I stood behind her, the times I was expected to disappear. We reached the tent, laughter spilled out. Someone called her name. She smiled again, brighter this time, like she'd switched her light back on. I followed her in. We stepped under the tent, and for a second, it felt like we'd walked into a catalog. Long white tables ran under twinkling lights that hung like stars, linen napkins folded into perfect triangles, wine glasses catching the glow just right. A string quartet played something soft, expensive sounding. Every seat had a little place card in cursive ink. We walked along the table, looking for ours. Rachel spotted our section and headed down. I followed, slow, my eyes scanning names. Then I saw it. Not Jake Ellison, not Jake, not even guest of Rachel, just serviceman. 2 words, blocked off like a label, like I was a repair guy sent by the venue. I froze. My hand hovered over the card. I didn't touch it. I just stared. A couple sitting across noticed first. I heard a quick laugh, then a muttered, "Oh man, that's brutal. Who came up with that?" A few more heads turned, more laughter, tight, uncomfortable. Someone 2 seats down leaned sideways to get a look. No way, that can't be real. I looked at Rachel. She was smoothing her napkin in her lap like nothing had happened. She hadn't even looked at me. I cleared my throat. Is this a joke? That's when Dana, from the other end of the table, raised her glass and gave me this slow, smug wink. Branding with a sense of humor, she said. Very on theme. Laughter rippled down the table. I still hadn't sat down, still hadn't moved. One of the younger guys, probably an intern, judging by how fast he laughed at everything, whipped out his phone, snapped a photo of the card. Group chat's gonna love this, he said, not bothering to whisper. I looked back down at the name card. Serviceman. Like I didn't have a name, like I was part of the decor, something useful but not real. Rachel finally leaned over, voice low, clipped. Don't make it a thing. That's all she said. Not, I'm sorry. Not, that's messed up. Not even a fake laugh to cover the awkwardness. Just that. And something in me broke open. Quiet, clean, not loud, but final. I pulled out the chair, sat down slow, picked up the card between my thumb and forefinger. I could feel eyes on me, waiting to see what I'd do. I didn't say anything yet. I just looked at Rachel again. She was sipping wine. Her eyes never met mine. Someone across the table chuckled. You gotta admit, that's kinda clever. I looked straight at him. You think calling someone serviceman at a table full of executives is clever? He blinked, half smiling like he hadn't decided if I was serious or not. Dana raised her glass again. We celebrate all kinds of talent here. A woman near her added, it's supposed to be ironic. That's the point. Rachel still didn't say a word, didn't move. Another phone came out. Someone whispered, should we do a toast? I looked back down at the card one last time, and then I folded it, right down the center, crisp, deliberate. I didn't tear it or throw it, just folded it and set it beside the plate like I was done playing along. I poured myself a full glass of wine, held it up and said, loud enough for the whole table to hear, to real workers, the ones who show up, do the job, and don't need cute titles to prove their worth. The table went quiet. Dana's smile froze, just a little. Not gone, but tighter. Someone cleared their throat. A fork clinked against a plate. Rachel finally looked at me then. Not angry, not apologetic. Just blank. I took a long sip and stared straight ahead. They didn't laugh after that. I picked up the card again, slow, calm, like I was checking it for typos. Ran my thumb over the folded edge, then I flipped it over and held it up. Is this supposed to be funny? I asked the table. Or am I the opening act? Nobody answered at first, just shifting eyes, some forks pausing midair. A wine glass clinked softly as someone set it down too fast. Dana didn't miss a beat. Her smile widened like she'd been waiting for this. "It's ironic branding," she said, chin tilted. "Lighten up, you know, for the aesthetic." Rachel touched my arm, barely, just her fingertips. "Please don't ruin this night," she whispered, tight under her breath. I didn't answer. I raised my glass again, held it high, and said louder this time, "To all the real workers out there." I looked straight at the guy who took the photo. The ones who don't get cute cards. Then I took a long, slow sip. No one moved. The laughter was gone. Dana's face didn't crack, but her smile twitched, just a little, like she didn't expect me to hold steady, like I was supposed to snap, or sulk, or get up and leave. But I didn't move. I stayed right where I was, calm, quiet, letting the silence stretch. A couple people looked at Rachel, waiting for her to smooth things over. She didn't. She just stared at her wine like it might give her a script. The guy across from me finally forced a laugh, trying to reset the mood. "Well, I think the card was meant to be playful." I looked at him. "Would you have laughed if it was you?" He opened his mouth, then closed it, looked at Dana, then back down at his plate. Someone else tried to pivot. "So anyway, Rachel, that Nielsen report." But it didn't land. The moment had shifted. I leaned back in my chair, still holding the card. Let the silence work for me. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to throw anything. I just had to be there, fully, completely, refusing to disappear. I watched Dana shift in her seat, just a hair. Her confidence had a crack in it now. She didn't expect pushback, especially not from a guy who cleans rims for a living. Rachel finally said something. Soft, controlled. "Let's just move on." I turned to her. "You want to pretend this didn't happen?" She flinched, barely. "I want tonight to go smoothly." I smiled, but it wasn't nice. "So do I." And I meant it. I wasn't there to blow things up. I wasn't trying to make a scene. I was just done playing the help. I came as her husband, not her prop. And if that ruined her dinner party fairy tale, so be it. Someone farther down the table tapped a glass, tried to get a toast going. "To collaboration!" Weak, forced. A few polite claps followed. I didn't join in. Dana stayed quiet now, eyes on her plate. She wouldn't look at me again. Her smirk was gone, her armor cracked. I could feel the power shift, even if no one said it. Not because I shouted, because I didn't, because I stayed, because I held the line. I set my glass down, stood up, and pushed in my chair. No raised voice, no announcement, just stood. Rachel looked up, confused. "Where are you going?" "Bathroom," I said flatly. Then I started walking. She stood too. "Jake, wait." I didn't. She reached for my arm, but I shook her off without looking. This wasn't about her anymore. The path to the main house cut through a hedge-lined walkway. Voices faded behind me, replaced by distant music and the low murmur of executives circling the bar near the veranda. They had their own little zone, leather couches brought in just for the event. Crystal glasses, a different tier of wine. You could feel the money in the air. I spotted him immediately. Theo Maddox, silver hair, pressed linen shirt, posture that said power without trying. He stood talking to a small group, glass in one hand, the other gesturing lightly as he laughed at something a junior exec said too eagerly. I walked up and waited. No one noticed me at first. Then Theo turned and locked eyes with me. His smile dropped for a half second, then came back. "Jake Ellison," he said, nodding. "The guy who made my back deck look like a Four Seasons spa." He offered a handshake. I didn't take it. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo I'd taken under the tent, and held it up. "This," I said, "was my name card tonight." He leaned in to see. His eyes narrowed. His smile vanished completely. He looked up at me. Who did that?" "Your VP," I said. "Dana Cross." His face changed, not just confused now, but concerned, calculating. "This isn't acceptable," he said, voice lower, more serious. "I agree." He opened his mouth to say something else, but I cut him off. "My company's done with your firm. We've built out half your offices. I've sent teams to your satellite campuses, personally handled installs at your vacation homes. That ends now." "Jake, hold on," he said, like he could still steer this. But I was already putting my phone away. I don't work with people who treat me like a punchline. I turned and started walking before he could respond. I didn't need to hear his apology or promise of a follow-up or some carefully crafted excuse. He'd seen it. That was enough. I walked past the couches, through the doors, and back toward the courtyard. My chest burned, but not with nerves. It felt clean, controlled, like letting go of something heavy I didn't realize I'd been carrying for years. Rachel stood near the tent entrance, frozen mid-step, like she wasn't sure if she should come closer. She didn't say anything as I passed, just watched. Inside the tent, conversations had started up again, but the air was different. Dana stood stiff near the center of the table, her shoulders sharp, mouth tight. She caught sight of me walking by and stiffened more. She knew, not the details yet, but the vibe had reached her. Whispers followed me out. Half the people pretending not to look, the other half pretending not to care. I walked back down the gravel path to the valet stand. Didn't rush, didn't look back. The keys were already in the guy's hand. "Mr. Ellison, right?" he asked. I nodded. The engine started, and just like that, I was gone. I got home before midnight, didn't turn on any lights, just grabbed a beer from the fridge, sat at the kitchen table, and stared at the wood grain. Her headlights lit up the driveway around 1:30. I didn't move. She came in through the side door, heels in her hand, dress wrinkled from the car ride. She stopped when she saw me sitting there. "Jake," she said, flat. I didn't answer. She dropped her keys in the bowl, set her shoes down, quiet. "Why'd you have to make a scene?" I looked up at her. "Why'd you let it happen?" Her mouth tightened. "It was just a stupid name card. That's how corporate events work. Jokes, themes, light branding. You don't understand the culture." "No," I said. "You don't understand respect." She crossed her arms. "It wasn't meant to disrespect you." I stood. "You laughed." She shook her head. "I didn't laugh. You smirked. Same thing. You didn't flinch when Dana did it. You didn't say a word when they passed it around. You sat there and let them laugh at me." She went quiet. That silence was the first honest thing she'd given me all night. I stepped closer, lowered my voice. "You didn't defend me. That's what I'll remember." She didn't look at me. Just stared at the counter like it might offer her a way out of the conversation. I left my beer half finished and walked down the hall. The floor creaked under my steps, louder than usual. She didn't follow. I got to the bedroom, pulled off my shirt, tossed it in the hamper. The house was still, like it didn't want to take sides. I lay down without brushing my teeth or turning on the fan. The sheets were cold, and the pillow smelled faintly like her shampoo. I turned it over. The door stayed shut. I didn't need it to open, not tonight. 2 days later, a plain cardboard package showed up on our front porch. No branding, no note on top, just a stack of sealed envelopes inside. Some typed, some handwritten. One of them had Theo's name on it. I opened his first. He kept it short, said he was embarrassed. Said the way I was treated didn't reflect the company's values. Said I had every right to walk away. His tone was clean, no fluff, no spin. Then came the others. Junior designers, support staff, even one IT guy. Different handwriting, same message. I saw what happened. That wasn't right. I'm sorry. The last envelope was heavier. Inside was a USB drive and a printed transcript, a short note clipped on top. "You deserve to hear this." I plugged it into my laptop at the kitchen table. It was a recording, muffled voices, then Dana's laugh. Her voice cut through like glass. "He should have worn coveralls with that attitude. Seriously, who puts serviceman on a name card? Low-end talent can't take a joke anymore." I stopped it there. That was enough. Underneath the transcript was a copy of her resignation letter. One line, effective immediately. No apology. Just her name in perfect blue ink at the bottom. I slid it all back in the box and closed the lid. That evening, Rachel sat across from me at the same table. She didn't touch her tea, didn't even pick it up. "I didn't think it would blow up like this," she said, voice quiet, like the words might burn her mouth. "No," I said, "because you didn't think of me." She flinched at that. Not dramatic, just a little. She didn't argue. I reached over and grabbed a folder off the counter, set it in front of her. She opened it and flipped through the first few pages. Letterheads, quotes, firm names. Proposals, I said, from companies that watch the summit stream and decided they want to work with me. Her fingers hovered over one of the logos. Hill and Vale, big firm, bigger reach than hers ever had. They're not calling me serviceman, I added. She nodded, slow, still pale, still quiet. I could see it in her eyes, how fast the ground had shifted under her. Dana gone, her own status on ice. HR had called her that morning. Leave pending internal review. She didn't even fight it. She looked up at me, lips parted like she wanted to say something. But she didn't, and I didn't press her. I stood, took the box with me, and walked it to the garage. New proposals, fresh starts, clean cuts. The door clicked shut behind me. The garage stayed dark. I stood there for a few minutes, leaning against the workbench, hands on the box. No music, no sanding, no distraction. Just air and wood and silence. Eventually, I walked back inside. She was still at the kitchen table. Same seat, same cup of tea, untouched. But now, the gloss was gone. No makeup, no earrings, no polished voice. Just Rachel. Smaller than I remembered. I sat down across from her. She stared at the table. I don't know who I am without that job, she said, barely above a whisper. I leaned forward. I do. I know who I am, and I'm not serviceman. She closed her eyes for a second, like the words landed hard. I panicked, she said. That room, Dana, all of it. It felt like if I said something, I'd be next on her list. So I kept quiet. I just tried to survive the moment. I didn't let up. You didn't just stay quiet. You laughed. Her mouth opened like she wanted to deny it again. But this time, she didn't. Just nodded, once. That's different, I said. She rubbed her hands together. No rings tonight, no watch, just bare fingers and nerves. I've spent years building that image, she said. Clean lines, no conflict, always the smartest one in the room. I thought if I kept everything tight, controlled, I'd be safe. I nodded slowly. And I was the mess that didn't fit. No, she said quickly. You were never the mess. You were real. I just stopped seeing it. The clock on the stove ticked loud in the silence that followed. We didn't talk about divorce, didn't mention lawyers or moving boxes. Neither of us brought it up. We just sat there, her across from me, stripped down, me holding my ground for once. And for the first time in a long time, it felt real between us. No roles, no speeches, just truth. A week later, I was back in the garage, belt sander humming against a slab of walnut. The air smelled like sawdust and lacquer, honest smells, clean, the kind that stuck to your clothes and let you know you actually built something. I shaped the corner edge slow, even, careful, no rush. The client wanted a live edge conference table, Hill and Vale, big firm, bigger reach than I'd ever worked with, and respectful from the first call. The sander buzzed low as I eased it off and stepped back to check the line. Behind me, the door creaked open. I didn't turn, just waited. Rachel's voice came soft. I saw the proposal from Hill and Vale. They're big. I nodded once. They're respectful. She stood there for a second like she didn't know what to say next. Then she cleared her throat. Thank you, she said, for not making a scene that night. I set the sander down. I didn't do it for you, I said. I did it for me. She didn't argue. Her voice cracked just a little. You reminded me who you are and who I stopped seeing. I still didn't turn around. Just ran my palm along the fresh edge of the table, smooth, straight, no splinters. It felt good under my hand, real. I heard her shift in the doorway. She didn't come closer, didn't leave either. I didn't respond. Some things didn't need answers right away. After a while, she walked back inside, door closing quiet behind her. I picked up a fine grit pad and started smoothing the edge. Small circles, even pressure. That night, I didn't think about being someone's +1, or the card, or the silence at the table. I thought about this piece I was shaping, and what came next, and for once, it felt like it was in my hands.